Okay, so today we are talking again about the area of trapezoids. We're focusing on problem solving, specifically multi-step problem solving. You need to be on page 757. So what I really need you to do is actually open up your book to page 757, look at the book, look at the screen, write down what I do as I am doing it, and we're going to practice solving a problem together. Now, as these pages always tell you, the first thing to solving a problem is reading it. And when you read it, you need to make sure that you know what it's asking you to figure out. So we're going to underline that. And we're also going to read it so that we know what the important information is, and we're going to circle those things. Okay, so let's go ahead and read this together. Number 15, the figure on the grid represents a parking lot. The asphalt for the parking lot cost $8.95 per square foot. How much will the cost of the asphalt for for the parking lot to the nearest cent? Okay, so here's what we need to underline. We're looking for cost. And nearest cent is also important. That means we need to round it to the hundredths place because there are 100 pennies in a dollar. Okay, so we're looking for cost. But now we have to go back and figure out, okay, what did they tell us about this cost? So I'm going to go ahead and read this again, and we're going to circle, or I'm going to box important information. Okay, so the figure on the grid represents the parking lot. So that's the first thing we need to box. This is important information, so we're going to put a box around this. And then it says the asphalt cost $8.95 per square foot. So I'm going to put a box around that. Okay. So each of the square feet inside is going to cost almost $9, but it's actually $8.95. So the very first thing we have to do, now that we know what our important information is realize we don't have all the important information. Because in order to find the area of a trapezoid, and this is a trapezoid because it has one pair of parallel lines. So this is parallel to this. Okay. Now, in order to find out the area of a trapezoid, it's going to be 1/2 height times base 1 plus base 2. And they told us that base 1 is 34 feet. But you know what? As I'm looking at these squares, because this said square feet over here, how many squares are there that that are equivalent to this 34 feet? Go ahead and answer that for me, please. You're right. There are only 1, 2, 3, 4. There's only 4 squares that are equivalent to this line that's supposed to be equivalent to 32 feet. So what we need to figure out is what number times 4 is equal to 32? Go ahead and answer that for me, please. Okay, you're correct. That answer is going to be 8. So now we know that base 1 is 32 feet, but we have to figure out what base 2 is. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And hang on, I lost track. 1, 2, 3. You know what? I'm going to make a mark. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, so now we have to figure out 9 times 8 is going to be equivalent to what? Answer that for me, please. You're right. That's going to be 72. So now we know what base 1 is 32 and base 2 is 72. But now we have to figure out the height. Okay, so the height's going to be a perpendicular line from base 1 to base 2. So how many squares is that? Go ahead and count that for me, please. Okay, you're right. That's going to be 5. And so we're going to say 5 times 8. What is 5 times 8? Answer that for me, please. That's correct. The answer is going to be 40. So now we have everything that we need to figure out the area. But that's only this first step because we're actually supposed to be figuring out the cost. So we have to do the area first. So let's go ahead and put this into the formula. 1/2 height. The height is 40. So 1/2 times 40 times the base 1 plus base 2. So let's go ahead and add base 1 plus base 2. So what is 32 plus 72? Go ahead and answer that for me, please. Very good. That's going to be 104, excuse me. So we have 104 over here. Okay. But you know what? I'm going to do another step before I move on. 1/2 40. 1/2 times 40 is the same as saying, what is half of 40? So what is half of 40? Go ahead and answer that for me, please. Very good. The answer is 20. So at this time, what we need to do to figure out the area is multiply 20 times 104. So I'm going to find some space over here. Whoops, 104 times 20. Go ahead and solve that, please. Okay. All right. So, very simple problem. We're going to put the 0 down because we're multiplying now by the tens place. So 10 times, or 2 times 4 is going to be 8 tens. And then 2 times 10 is 20. Okay. So, the area is 2,080 square feet. Have we solved the problem? Yes or no? Well, I'm going to go back to the actual question. It says, how much will it cost? The cost is not the same as square feet. So no, I haven't solved the problem yet. So we're going to look back at the important information. $8.95 per square foot. And I know what the square feet are. So all we have to do now is we're going to multiply the $8.95 by the 2,080 feet. Go ahead and do that for me now, please. Problem of starting this like way too close to the edge, so I had to rewrite it because I didn't have any space to write. So 2,080 times $8.95. So we're going to do the multiplication first, and we'll deal with the decimal later. And we end up with this big number here at the bottom. If we look up here, this top factor does not have any decimals. Well, it has a decimal, but it's right here, so we don't need to worry about that. But the second factor has 2 decimal places, so we need to move this decimal 2 over in this direction, which leaves us with a cost of 18,666. So up here, that means our answer choice is going to be C. Okay. Now I need you to think, what are the important things that we need to remember about solving these types of word problems? One thing perhaps will be remembering that that you're not going to immediately know the answer. You have to do more than one step. The first important step was knowing we have to find the area first, knowing where to find the formula for area, and you can go back and look into your book, or in the back of your book is the uh, STAR resource page, which will have what the area of a trapezoid is. The second most important step that we recognized is that it only told us what one of the bases was, and we had to determine the scale by counting the number of boxes, and then we had to figure out using that scale what base 2 would be, and also what the height would be using that same scale. So once we did that, we determined the area, and once we did that, we determined the cost by multiplying the cost per square foot by the number of square feet. So there are quite a few things that are really important about this lesson. So what I want you to do now is choose to tell me one of those important things that I literally just told you about. Go ahead and answer that for me now. What do you think is the most important thing to remember about solving word problems involving the area of a trapezoid. Thank you for your thoughtful answer. Please come to class. We're going to do some more examples together.